There is a specific physical sensation that every trader knows, but few admit to fully understanding. It is not the fear of entering a trade. It is not the frustration of a loss. It is something far more insidious. Picture the moment. You have executed your plan. Your analysis was sharp. The setup was clean. You clicked the button, and the market has rewarded you. You are in the green. The position is moving in your favor. You are up 20, maybe 30 pips. On paper, this is the perfect scenario. This is what you studied for. This is what you wanted. But then the feeling arrives. It starts as a subtle pressure in the chest. Tightness. You watch the candles tick. A green candle pauses. It retraces slightly, just a few points. Your heart rate doesn't slow down. It speeds up. Why? You're making money. You're winning. But suddenly, the win feels fragile. It feels like a bubble that is about to burst. Your brain begins to whisper to you. It says, take it. Take it now before it reverses. Take it now before the market steals it back. A win is a win. No one ever went broke taking a profit. Your hand hovers over the mouse. You are not looking at your technicals anymore. You aren't looking at market structure. You are looking at the P&L number fluctuating on your screen. Every tick down feels like a physical blow. Every second of hesitation feels like an hour. The tension becomes unbearable. You just want the tension to stop. So you click close. The trade is over. The position is flat. You bank a small profit, maybe half of what you planned for, maybe less. And immediately, a wave of chemical relief washes over you. Your shoulders drop. Your breathing slows. You feel safe. You feel smart. You tell yourself you did the prudent thing. You secured the bag. But then the chart continues to move. 10 minutes later, you look back. The price has moved exactly where you thought it would go. Pushes past your exit, pushes through the noise, and slams directly into your original take-profit level. If you had just sat on your hands, if you had just done nothing for 20 more minutes, you would have made double, triple, maybe quadruple what you just banked. The relief turns into a distinct flavor of sickness. It is the sickness of regret. You realize that the market didn't defeat you. The market was actually trying to pay you. You defeated yourself. This is the central tragedy of the retail trader. We spend years learning how to enter, but we never learn how to hold. We treat the urge to close early as a strategic decision or risk management. But let's be brutally honest with ourselves today. It is not risk management. It is emotional management. When you close a trade early, you are not responding to market data. You are responding to an internal chemical imbalance. You are experiencing anxiety, the anxiety of the unknown, and your brain is screaming for a solution. The close button is the solution. It is a painkiller. Think of it that way. You are in pain, psychological pain caused by uncertainty. Closing the trade acts exactly like a dose of morphine. It numbs the discomfort instantly. But here is the cost. You are paying a premium for that morphine. You are paying for your emotional relief with your potential equity. You are effectively paying the market to make you feel safe, rather than demanding the market pay you for the risk you took. This behavior, repeated over months and years, is why traders fail. It is not because they can't read a chart. It is because they are addicted to the painkiller. They are addicted to the instant relief of escaping the tension. And until you break that addiction, until you learn to sit in the fire without reaching for the extinguisher, you will never trade professionally. In this session, we are going to dismantle this addiction. We are going to look at the psychology of holding trades not through the lens of willpower, but through the lens of professional systems. We are going to replace your amateur metaphors with professional ones. We are going to move from being a gambler who needs a win to a business owner who executes a plan. The journey to holding trades is not about learning to predict the future. It is about learning to endure the present. To understand why we close early, we have to look at the hierarchy of your internal trading business. Imagine a corporation. At the top, you have the CEO. At the bottom, you have the workers. The CEO's job is to set the vision, define the rules, and hire the right people. The worker's job is to execute the task. In trading, you are the CEO. Your trading strategy, your setup, your edge is the worker. When you enter a trade, you are essentially hiring an employee for a specific job. You have analyzed their resume, the chart pattern. You have interviewed them, checked the confluences. You have decided they are qualified. So you hire them. You give them a contract. The contract states, your job is to go to this take-profit level. If you fail and hit the stop-loss level, you are fired. Those are the terms. You sign the contract, click buy, and the worker begins the job. Now, this is where the amateur and the professional diverge. The amateur trader is a toxic micromanager. We have all had a boss like this. The boss who hires you, gives you a task, and then stands 6 inches behind your chair, breathing down your neck. Every time you move your mouse, he flinches. Every time you take a sip of coffee, he asks, "Are you working? Why aren't you finished yet?" When the worker encounters a little difficulty, let's say price stalls or pulls back slightly, the amateur CEO panics. He screams at the worker, "What are you doing? You're supposed to be going up. Why are you going down? You're incompetent." The amateur CEO is so insecure, so filled with distrust, that he cannot let the worker finish the shift. He fires the worker, closes the trade, halfway through the job. "Get out. I'll do it myself." He fires the worker for a small profit or a small loss, just to get them out of the building. Then, he watches from the window as the worker, now fired, walks down the street and finishes the job exactly as planned, but for someone else. This micromanagement comes from a lack of trust. But it is not just a lack of trust in the market. It is a lack of trust in your own hiring process. If you truly trusted your analysis, if you truly trusted the resume of the setup you just took, why are you hovering? Why are you interfering? The professional trader acts like a true executive. The professional CEO hires the worker, enters the trade. He gives them the coordinates, stop and target. And then, this is the critical part, he leaves the office. He goes to play golf. He goes to read a book. He works on other projects. He understands a fundamental truth of business. You cannot do the worker's job for them. Once the money is in the market, your control is zero. You have delegated the outcome to probability. The professional CEO judges the employee based on the quarterly results, not on how they looked at 10 a.m. on a Tuesday. He understands that the worker needs space to operate. Sometimes the worker needs to take a step back to move 2 steps forward. Sometimes the project gets messy before it gets clean. If the employee hits the stop-loss, the CEO doesn't rage. He simply notes it. Okay, that employee didn't work out. The contract was honored. The loss was calculated. Next hire. But he never, ever fires a performing employee just because he feels anxious. Why is this shift so difficult? Because trading gives us the illusion of control. Because the close button is always there, we feel like we should be doing something. We confuse involvement with control. We think that by staring at the candles, by willing them to move, by worrying about them, we are somehow influencing the outcome. We think that if we look away, the plane will crash. But the market does not know you exist. Your anxiety does not move the price. Your hope does not support levels. Your fear does not create resistance. When you micromanage a trade, you are introducing human error into a statistical process. Your strategy has an edge. You do not. Let me repeat that your strategy, the mathematical expectancy of your setup, has the edge. You, the emotional human being, are the liability. Every time you interfere with a trade before the technical invalidation point, you are sabotaging your own business. You are the CEO who is bankrupting the company because he is too neurotic to let his staff work. You must learn to respect the contract. When you set a stop loss and a take profit, you have signed a binding agreement with the market. You agreed to risk X to make Y. Breaking that contract early because you feel uncomfortable is a breach of professional integrity. Ask yourself, do you want to run a business, or do you want to run a daycare? A daycare requires constant supervision. A business requires systems and delegation. Holding a trade is the ultimate act of delegation. You are delegating the result to your edge. If you cannot walk away from the screen, if you cannot let the trade breathe, you are admitting that you do not have an edge, or worse, that you do not believe in it. Let's go deeper into the biology of this fear. Why does the professional trust the process while the amateur panics? Is the professional a robot? Does he not feel fear? No. The professional feels the exact same chemical cocktail as the amateur. The difference is how he processes the data. To understand this, imagine you are a pilot. You are flying a plane through a heavy storm. You are in the thick of the clouds. Visibility is zero. You cannot see the horizon. You cannot see the ground. You are flying entirely on instrument flight rules, IFR. You have to trust your altimeter, your attitude indicator, and your GPS. Suddenly, you hit a pocket of massive turbulence. The plane drops 500 feet in a second. The fuselage rattles. The coffee spills. Your stomach lurching into your throat. This is the exact sensation of a trade moving against you, or a winning trade rapidly giving back profit. It is visceral. It is nausea. Now, here is the biological trap. Your inner ear, your vestibular system, is screaming at you. In the absence of a visual horizon, your inner ear sends faulty signals to your brain. It tells you the plane is banking left when it is actually level. It tells you you are diving when you are climbing. This is a known phenomenon called spatial disorientation. If you rely on your senses, you will panic. You will grab the yoke and yank it back to correct the plane. But because your senses are wrong, your correction will actually send the plane into a death spiral. This is what the amateur trader does. The turbulence of the market, the normal ebb and flow of price action, triggers his biological alarm system. His amygdala screams, "Danger! We are losing profit. We are turning around. Get out." His emotions tell him the trade is failing. So, he grabs the yoke, the mouse, and corrects the situation by closing the trade. He feels immediate relief because the shaking stopped. But he effectively crashed the plane. He aborted the mission. The professional pilot feels the same turbulence. His stomach also drops. His inner ear also screams, "We are falling." But the professional pilot has been trained to ignore his body and trust his instruments. He grips the armrests, not the yoke. He stares intensely at the artificial horizon indicator. The instrument says, "Wings level. Course correct." His body says, "Panic." His instruments say, "Hold." And he chooses to obey the instruments. He understands that turbulence is not a crash. Turbulence is just part of the medium through which he travels. You cannot fly through the atmosphere without rough air. You cannot trade the markets without drawdowns and pullbacks. Holding a trade is the act of ignoring your inner ear. Your P&L is not an instrument. It is your stomach. Watching your P&L fluctuate is like staring at the floor while the plane shakes. It only makes you sicker. Your instruments are your technical levels. Market structure, support and resistance, moving averages, whatever your strategy dictates. If price is pulling back, but market structure is still intact, your instruments are reading wings level. It doesn't matter that you are scared. It doesn't matter that you gave back 10% of the profit. The structure holds. The plan holds. Discipline, in this context, is the ability to override your survival instinct. It is the ability to say, "I feel like the market is reversing, but the chart says it is simply retracing." Most traders trade VFR, visual flight rules, in a storm. They trade based on how things look or feel in the moment. It looks weak. It feels heavy. These are not technical terms. These are emotional hallucinations. The market is designed to create spatial disorientation. It is designed to fake you out. It spikes up to induce FOMO. It spikes down to induce panic. If you navigate by your feelings, you will be whipsawed until your account is zero. You must develop an instrument rating for your psychology. You must make a rule. I do not touch the trade unless a candle closes below X level. Not touches X level, closes below it. That is a hard rule. That is an instrument reading. Anything that happens between your entry and your stop/target is just air. It's just noise. It's wind hitting the fuselage. It is irrelevant. The professional knows that the destination is on the other side of the turbulence. He knows that if he keeps correcting the course every time he hits a bump, he will run out of fuel long before he reaches the airport. So, The next time you are in a trade and you feel that urge to close because price is whipping around, close your eyes for a second. Take a breath. Look at your technicals. Has the structure broken? Has the reason for the trade changed? If the answer is no, then sit on your hands. Let the plane shake. It was built for this. And you were built for this if you choose to be. We have talked about the manager and the pilot. Now let's talk about the farmer. Because the hardest variable in trading is not price. It is time. Most traders are obsessed with the where. Where will price go? Where is the target? But the element that destroys their mind is the when. We live in a world of compressed time. If you want food, you tap a screen and it arrives in 20 minutes. If you want entertainment, you swipe up and get a dopamine hit in 3 seconds. If you want information, you ask Google and get it instantly. We have been conditioned to believe that action equals result. Immediate action should yield immediate results. But the market is an artifact of the natural world. It moves in organic rhythms. It does not care about your Amazon Prime delivery schedule. Holding a trade is a war against time. It is the battle against the void. The void is that empty, boring, agonizing space between the entry and the exit. You enter the trade. It goes green. And then, nothing happens. It goes sideways for 3 hours. Or 3 days. This silence is deafening to the modern mind. Your brain, addicted to stimulation, starts to invent problems to fill the void. Why is it taking so long? Maybe momentum is dying. What if news comes out? I could be using this capital on another trade. This is where the metaphor of the harvest becomes crucial. Imagine you are a farmer. You plant a seed, entry. You water it. The conditions are perfect. A week later, a tiny green shoot breaks the soil, unrealized profit. The amateur trader looks at that tiny green shoot and says, "I'm hungry." He is terrified that a drought might come, or a pest might eat the plant. He cannot bear the uncertainty of the growing season. So what does he do? He pulls the tiny sprout out of the ground and eats it. He gets a tiny morsel of nutrition, a distraction, but he has killed the plant. He has destroyed the potential for the corn to grow into a full stalk that could feed him for a week. He does this to every seed he plants. He harvests them the moment they turn green. And then, come winter, he starves. He starves not because the land was barren, not because he didn't pick good seeds, but because he didn't respect the duration required for maturity. Value takes time to build. In business, in relationships, and in markets. A big move, the kind of move that changes your equity curve, requires time to unfold. Large institutions cannot dump billions of dollars into the market in 1 minute. They accumulate over days and weeks. Trends take time to develop. When you scalp out for 5 pips because you are bored or scared, you are interrupting the compounding process of value. You are trying to bypass the season of growth. The professional trader respects the season. He understands that waiting is not a passive activity. Waiting is an active skill. It is the skill of doing nothing when every fiber of your being wants to do something. Jesse Livermore, one of the greatest traders in history, famously said, "It was never my thinking that made the big money for me. It was always my sitting. Sitting. Sitting is the hardest work you will do. It requires you to suppress your need for dopamine. It requires you to exist in the void without filling it with neurotic action. How do you survive the void? You must dissociate your sense of productivity from your mouse clicks. In a factory job, more movement equals more productivity. In trading, more movement usually equals less money. You have to rewire your brain to understand that holding is an action. When you are holding a trade, you are not doing nothing. You are carrying the risk. You are managing the position by allowing it to exist. You are the farmer guarding the field, ensuring the crop has the time it needs to ripen. If you pick the fruit while it is green, it will be bitter. If you close the trade before the target, the profit will be bitter, because you will watch the rest of the move happen without you, and that bitterness will lead to revenge trading. You have to make peace with boredom. If you need excitement, go to a casino. Go ride a roller coaster. The market is not here to entertain you. The market is a mechanism for transferring wealth from the impatient to the patient. Are you the impatient victim? or the patient beneficiary. The difference is simply your ability to endure the passage of time without interfering. Now, let's look at the mathematics of holding. Because usually, the fear of holding is rooted in a logical fallacy. You think, if I don't take this profit now, I might lose it, and losing profit is bad. This sounds logical, but it is mathematically disastrous. To understand why, we need to stop thinking like a salary earner and start thinking like an insurance company. How does an insurance company make money? They collect premiums from thousands of people. And then, occasionally, they have to pay out a large claim, a car crash, a house fire. The premium is your winning trade. The claim is your losing trade. An insurance company knows with 100% certainty that they will have to pay claims. They don't panic when a house burns down. They don't try to stop paying the claim halfway through. They accept it as the cost of goods sold COGS. Their business model only works because the premiums they collect are calculated to be larger than the claims they pay out over time. Now, look at your trading. When you hold a trade to your full take profit, you are collecting the full premium. Let's say your system is designed to risk $100 to make $300, a 1-to-3 risk-reward ratio. When you lose, you pay a $100 claim. When you win, you collect a $300 premium. If you win 50% of the time, you are wildly profitable. Even if you win 30% of the time, you are profitable. But what happens when you close early? You enter the trade. You risk $100. The trade moves in your favor. You are up $100. You get scared. You close it. You just collected a $100 premium. But you are still risking $100 on your losers. You haven't changed your risk on the losing side. You still pay the full claim when you are wrong. Now, your risk-reward is 1:1. You need a much higher win rate just to break even. But it gets worse. Often, you close for $50 or $20. Now you are collecting $20 premiums and paying $100 claims. You are running a bankrupt insurance company. You are terrified of the claim, the loss. So you are discounting your own premiums just to get cash in hand quickly. Here is the hard truth. Giving back open profit is the cost of doing business. Let me say that again. Watching a green trade turn red is the price you pay for the opportunity to hit a home run. You cannot capture a 1-to-3 or 1-to-5 risk-to-reward ratio if you are unwilling to risk the unrealized profit. You have to be willing to let the trade come back to break even, or even hit your stop loss in pursuit of the larger target. The professional trader looks at an open profit of $500 not as his money, but as the market's money. It is not his until the trade is closed. He is willing to bet that $500 to make $1,500. If the market takes the $500 back, so be it. That was the wager. The amateur looks at the open $500 and mentally spends it. That's my car payment. That's a nice dinner. Once he mentally owns the money, the fear of losing it becomes overwhelming. He is no longer trading probabilities. He is protecting his phantom possessions. You must detach from the money while it is in the open trade. It is not yours. It is simply equity at risk. If you cut your winners short, you are capping your upside while leaving your downside unlimited to the stop loss. No business can survive that asymmetry. You must demand that the market pays you properly for the risk you took. You risked your capital. You endured the stress. Do not let the market buy you out for pennies. Make them pay the full price. Make them hit the target. If they don't and you lose, fine. That is a tax write-off. But never, ever settle for a discount on your own value. We have covered the theory. Now, how do we actually fix this? How do we reprogram the brain? We have to change our definition of success and failure. Right now, your brain thinks making money equals success. Losing money equals failure. This is wrong. In trading, the outcome is random. You can do a bad thing, close early, and make money. You can do a good thing, hold, and lose money. If you judge yourself by the result, you will reinforce bad habits. You will treat the close button like a slot machine lever. We need a new metaphor, the gym. Imagine you are lifting weights. You are doing a set of bicep curls. The first few reps are easy, but the last few reps, the ones that actually build muscle, burn. They hurt. Your arms shake. You want to drop the weight. Holding a trade through a pullback is the burn. That physical urge to click close, that tension in your chest, that is the feeling of your discipline muscle tearing and rebuilding. It is supposed to hurt. If you drop the weight, close the trade, the moment it starts to burn, you are not training. You are quitting. You went to the gym, you put on your clothes, but you didn't do the work. Here is the paradigm shift. Scenario A. You hold a trade according to your plan. It reverses and hits your stop loss. You lose money. Verdict. Success. You completed the rep. You strained against the weight. You followed the process. You built the habit of discipline. Your account went down, but your skill as a trader went up. Scenario B. You get scared and close a trade early for a profit. It hits your target later without you. Verdict. Failure. You dropped the weight. You cheated the rep. You reinforced the habit of weakness. Your account went up, but your skill as a trader went down. You have to start grading your trading journal not by P&L, but by adherence to plan. Give yourself a score every day. Did I hold? If you held and lost, give yourself an A. If you folded and won, give yourself an F. Over time, your identity will shift. You will stop seeing yourself as a person who is trying to make money today. You will start seeing yourself as a person who executes the plan. The money is a byproduct of the execution. The next time you are in a trade, and the pain comes, tell yourself, this is just the weight. I am at the gym. This is the heavy rep. Do not pray for the market to make it easy. Do not pray for the price to go straight to the target without a pullback. That is like praying for a lightweight that doesn't build muscle. Welcome the difficulty. Welcome the urge to close, and then stare it in the face and do nothing. That act of defiance, that act of refusing to click the mouse, is where a professional trader is born. It is the victory of the conscious mind over the primitive brain. Trading is often sold as a pursuit of freedom, but most traders create a prison. They build a prison of anxiety, glued to their screens, slaves to every tick of the candle. The only key to that prison is the ability to let go. To let go of the need to control the immediate outcome. To let go of the addiction to certainty. To let go of the fear of loss. The psychology of holding trades is really the psychology of faith. Not faith in luck, but faith in your edge. Faith in the law of large numbers. And most importantly, faith in yourself to handle whatever happens. When you can enter a trade, set your levels, and walk away, you are making a declaration. You are declaring that you are no longer a gambler chasing a hit. You are a CEO running a system. You are the farmer who trusts the seasons. You are the pilot who trusts the instruments. You are the weightlifter who loves the burn. It won't be easy. Your biology will fight you every step of the way. The voice in your head will beg you to take the easy way out, to take the quick cash, to numb the pain. But remember, the easy way leads to the hard life. The hard way, the way of patience, the way of holding, the way of discipline, leads to the life you entered this market to find. The market is a mirror. It reflects your impatience, your insecurity, and your fear. But if you stay the course, if you hold the line, eventually it will reflect your discipline, your courage, and your mastery. So, the next time you see green on your screen, and the itch begins, don't scratch it. Let it burn. Hold the trade. And watch what happens not just to your account but to you.